What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. The Nintendo Direct hunger online is real, right? People really want a general Direct, and then everyone else wants a PlayStation 5 reveal. It's all over the place right now online, but there's a chance that we're starting to see some things kind of move in the background here, at least for a possible Nintendo Direct coming up. At least that's the word online right now, and we're gonna go over where all of this is happening because we're seeing things updated, we're seeing stuff leak on Amazon, we're seeing maintenance pop up, it's all over the place, but we're gonna talk about it here, and I guess the timetable is now expected and the likelihood of that even happening. Also, Ghost of Tsushima got a release date and some pretty cool looking stuff for its collector's edition. And E3 takes another hit. We talked about yesterday how there's a chance that E3 won't happen this year. Well, it's not getting any easier as we're now seeing creative director resigning already. Yeah, this is some interesting stuff here today, guys. As always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. You guys liked the video a lot yesterday, and it really did help, so I do appreciate that. Also, if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we push towards 400,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with Last of Us. And what I think is great, because we're seeing more and more video games get adapted into other forms of media, specifically movies or even TV shows or Netflix series with Castlevania. Well, it looks like, according to a Hollywood Reporter who had the exclusive, Last of Us is going to become a series on HBO, and they're bringing in Neil Druckmann to work on it with them. This is amazing. This could be really cool. I think Last of Us would make a great series, but my question now, and I'm sure many others, is what are they going to do with it? Is it going to be a complete retelling of the story that we already know right now in the game, and then I guess the second one comes out and they'll tell that as well as like this long series? Or do they try for more of an original story with some different characters in that same world, maybe the same events through a different point of view? There's a lot of things they could do here, but this is really exciting stuff for Last of Us fans. Absolutely. It's more lore, and these series have been turning out pretty good, right? Like, people love the Castlevania series. We just saw the Sonic movie take off in theaters. Detective Pikachu did pretty well, and the new Super Mario movie, from what we're hearing, is coming together okay. We're doing so much better than what we had before with the Mario movie and Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Just way better. Also, while we did have that financial analyst briefing from AMD, not a lot came out of it, unfortunately. I think a lot of us were hoping for a better roadmap for RDNA 2. They did discuss it. They explained how it's like 50% more efficient, getting the same amount of power, so they'll be able to get just overall more power out of RDNA 2, which is great. They did tell us technically that both consoles will be using RDNA 2, something we did not necessarily know yet. We were still wondering if the PlayStation 5 would also be using it, as several rumors are saying it's just using RDNA. It looks like it's also going to be using the same as what the Xbox Series X is using, and it will also be using hardware accelerated ray tracing, something that I'm almost positive Sony told us in that Wired article, but it was still being brought up and questioned. No, AMD said all of this, it seems, and now we're just, again, waiting for the PS5 reveal, but I guess it's not coming out till November, so they still have a few more months. I'm almost thinking Sony's gonna be very strategic with this, because AMD themselves have said that their video cards, their GPUs won't even be out till later this year anyway. So like, it's almost like these video cards are gonna launch, the RDNA 2 ones, and then the new consoles will come out. They'll be like as cutting edge as possible. So it's exciting stuff going into the holidays. Oh, and do you remember how Ducktales Remastered last year got delisted, and it was a whole thing, and it was like, wow, digital games, they have a limited lifespan, all of this. Well, Capcom put it back up. Yeah, well, okay, it's on the same platform. It's not like it's on like the newer platform like PS4 or Switch or anything like that, but they put it back up and you can buy it at the same spot. Steam, of course, it's there. It's also on the Wii U, so there you go. You can get it on the Wii U, the PS3, and then the Xbox One through Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. But this is really good for anyone who missed it. I mean, they told us it was going away, and it was a whole thing, because you never know with some of these digital games that can get delisted, like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. But we'll stick with DuckTales Remastered right now. It would be good to see that game come back, but good to see at least that DuckTales was able to find its way back onto digital storefronts, so it can still be sold. There is still that physical copy out there, so might still be worth picking that up just in case. But if you missed it, you can go pick it up now on all of those digital platforms. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. So if last September, after that last Direct ended, September 4th, if I had told you, hey, we'll see you back in March, maybe April for the next Direct, would anyone have believed me for that? Probably not, but here we are. We're finishing up the first real week in March, and we're looking towards the second or the third week, possibly for the next Direct, or maybe April, or maybe we'll just wait until E3. Wait, E3 might not happen. There'll still be a Direct around there, right? Yeah, again, a lot of uncertainty right now, but things appear to be at least moving a bit now, as people spotted over on Reddit that the playlist for Nintendo Japan on YouTube has been updated. Now, that tends to happen when they start messing around with the playlist, whether they're updating a video or deleting one, but a lot of times this will take place, these updates in the background, right before a Direct happens. It literally just happened recently with Animal Crossing. That Direct, they had updated the playlist, which led people to think that there would be a general Direct. Turned out it was an Animal Crossing Direct, but here we are now with it being updated again, and we're all kind of thinking, okay, next week? That's the thought process now. There's also this large maintenance that's going to take place. Now, we've had maintenance before, and remember Nintendo came out and even said, oh, it's nothing major. You just can't download anything from the eShop from this time to this time or something. It looks like it's something similar, but it's much larger. It's several hours in length, and it looks like it's going to be affecting multiple parts of the eShop, and they even just say eShop in general for the maintenance, which of course is leading many people to believe that Nintendo is pulling down the eShop for maintenance, or just doing maintenance to the eShop ahead of time on Monday for a possible Wednesday or Thursday Direct, like an 11th or the 12th. Very, very possible there. But then on top of that, some stuff started popping up on Amazon. Well, this game here, it wasn't really that I've seen announced, unless I missed it, but it seemed to pop up a lot of people's radars all of a sudden for a Switch version of Journey to the Savage Planet, with a placeholder date right now of June 30th. We've seen games just randomly leak by accident. They go live a little too early on Amazon a couple of times now, and we already have an idea through ratings boards, some games that would be in the next Direct anyway, right? We've seen XCOM 2 pop up, or XCOM like the collection pop up. We've seen Catherine show up, BioShock collection, Mortal Kombat. Actually, we kind of almost know several games, maybe even like a good quarter of some of the third-party stuff that would be in the Direct just through these leaks and these ratings. So if you're anyone talking about a Direct for next week, right now it is still significant amounts of speculation on the things that we just went over here. No one really knows, at least that I've seen, if there will be a Direct, like straight up. No one's really hinted at it too much. There was one rumor that went around, I believe it was on a Reddit post like a month ago, that did call the Animal Crossing Direct pretty well, and then said that there would also be a Direct in the second week of March, which would be next week as well. And then I guess the only other thing to look at is Nintendo would probably want to date something after Animal Crossing, because it would be weird to have the hottest system on the market and not one first-party title dated at all after Animal Crossing. Trials of Mana is coming up in April, but that's Square, and it's also on other platforms. You figure Nintendo would want to set the tone with their first-party stuff, but not having anything technically set up on their calendar, their fiscal year, that they would then restart in April, would be strange, to say the least. But we'll see. Next Monday, next Tuesday, I guess, look out and we'll know if we gotta wait a bit longer and keep that Nintendo Direct hunger alive. Next up, let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima, as it did get a release date kind of out of nowhere, and it's a little sooner than I thought. It's coming June 26th, and I'm looking forward to this game because I'm getting some vibes of like Way of the Samurai mixed with Tenchu, and I think Sucker Punch is gonna knock it out of the park. It's pretty exciting to see this game come together, and I feel like we've known about it for a while, and it's kind of because we have, but I do believe it's going to be very, very good. June 26th is a good date, I think, considering Sony's not really going to be at E3 anyway. Might as well just put it out there. But if you look at the release schedule for Sony coming up, it's looking pretty good. I mean, we have Nioh 2 coming out soon. Then in April, we have Final Fantasy VII. And then in May, we have Last of Us. And then in June, we have Ghost of Tsushima. Sony has a really good first half to this year coming up. And then obviously after that, they'll probably take a little bit of a step back as they roll towards the PlayStation 5. But somehow, right now, this year, Sony has the best lineup, at least for now. Again, we talked about the Direct. We'll see what Nintendo sets up here soon. But we also got a collector's edition. Here it is. Check this thing out. It is quite something to see. It's going to be going for $170, but it does have the little mask there, which is cool. Art book, steel book case. It doesn't look bad. My thing with that is I've never been a fan of masks that are basically just little statues. I don't know. And also, I don't know enough about the game to know what that mask, I guess, is really for in the game. So I almost feel like I need to know a little bit more about the story before I'm in for that. Like when Mortal Kombat did their Scorpion mask. Okay, that's Scorpion's mask. I get it. But like this, I need to know a little bit more about the story. But it's looking good. It's coming out June 26th, and there is a long run of month after month after month of releases for Sony, so it's looking pretty good. Next up, let's talk about another issue for E3 that has popped up. Just talked about some of the issues yesterday surrounding E3 in California with the current state of emergency there. Well, it looks like they now have had their creative director, specifically for floor planning, it appears, just resign. It is very bizarre even. But we did get some quotes, by the way, at least from the ESA. This is from gamesindustry.biz. You can see the headline here. And this is from I Am 8-Bit. They appear to have been put in charge as the creative director. And it was strange in the first place because they announced it as kind of a way to shake things up and change things up even. But now they're out 3 months away from the convention happening. Like, what happened here? And then the ESA said this in regard to I Am 8-Bit no longer being a part of E3 planning, saying, "We have an innovative and experienced team in place, including Endeavor's creative agency, 160/90, etc., all collaborating to bring to life an exciting and authentic experience for fans, the media, and the industry." So nothing at all about why this happened. I don't know if they were having issues behind the scenes getting certain things done. They weren't up to the task to get it done. I don't know. I don't know if it had anything to do with the state of emergency and some of the stuff going around right now. It's really, really hard to say. It's definitely bizarre because they were appointed in June. They took the job in January. Weeks later, they're not doing it. And this is 3 months away from E3's supposed date. And I say supposed because it's not looking good for E3 right now. I am really thinking it might not happen, and if it does not happen, I think these publishers, these developers will be forced to do their own stream, and they'll realize that they don't need E3, effectively ending really E3's run, or at least what it used to be. This could be it. 2020 could go down in history for when E3 just went away. And in our last bit of news, talk about Gamescom 2020. This will be taking place at the end of August, so we're still pretty far away. But they did share on Twitter some of the first exhibitors who have signed up, and there is one missing. You can go ahead and take a guess who's missing from Gamescom. It's a recent trend for a lot of stuff. It is Sony. You can see the list here of all the attendees, and Nintendo and Microsoft are there, as well as CD Projekt Red, EA, Bandai, Bethesda, all of the different companies you expect, Sega, THQ Nordic, Ubisoft. Everyone's pretty much there except for Sony. Now, that can still change. These are just the first signups, essentially, of exhibitors who are going to be showing stuff off, games, demos, all of this. I assume Nintendo will have something past Animal Crossing to show off at Gamescom, so there you go, another look towards them having another Direct sometime this year. But no Sony again. Okay, Sony's just skipping everything now, aren't they? You figure Gamescom is close enough to the PS5 release, this is the end of August, that they would want to be there and show the PS5 or PS5 games off in some capacity. A lot of people go to Gamescom, a lot. So there's a large audience there to show off a new system to, but at least for now, doesn't look like Sony's going to be attending. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one is from Rockvault saying, "I don't even have the time to be watching the whole E3 show. I swear these companies can do so much more with the E3 money to develop a new AAA game or some cool new feature and just do the videos themselves in their own studios or spaces." That is something to think about as well. I know there are a lot of people who even take off time from work, etc., just kind of sit down and watch E3. I do like that E3 brings everyone together at one time period. Like, we know when E3 is going to happen, right? We're ready to go. It's going to be a week of just nonstop game news, previews, gameplay reveals, the whole thing, and it's easy to plan around. If that does not happen and it's more sporadic, it's going to be much harder to plan around. Like, we could have Square Enix just say, oh, we're going to have a Square Enix Direct coming up, and it's like 2 days from now. And we're like, oh, okay. And then 2 weeks later, Nintendo has something. And then 3 weeks later, Microsoft. And then Sony has a state of play that it gets much more sporadic and I think harder to plan around. That is one thing I like about E3, is that it just brings it all together. And while you might not be able to keep up with everything, trust me, I know it is difficult E3 time, it is still nice to see everything just kind of in one spot, and we just go through it as we have time. But yeah, the landscape of gaming will look very, very weird if E3's not there, just because it'll be scattered heavily. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the Nintendo Direct hunger, and what do you think about all these little things kind of in motion now, maybe adding up to a Direct next week. You can give me your best guess down below when you think that Direct will happen, and hey, we'll come back next week to see who was right. Also, what do you think about Ghost of Tsushima or I Am 8-Bit resigning as creative director for the floor for E3 to help shake things up? Well, they definitely shook things up, as they're just out now, 3 months away from E3. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.